What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another post-match show as Spurs lost last night 1-0 to Manchester City, dumped out the FA Cup, trophyless for another year, it seems. And when you look at it yesterday, it was very much a very disappointing anti-climax, wasn't it? Because Spurs fans, especially us, were going into it very positive, very confident. And when we go into things very confident, this is usually what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, look, that's life of being a Spurs fan. Never get too ahead of yourself because you usually get a reality check at some point. I think the most disappointing thing going into yesterday, coming away from yesterday, was it was all set up to be a really special night. It was all set up to be a game where we took the game to Man City and we give it our best shot, and two really good footballing teams open each other up and chances at both ends, and under the lights at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, a massive game in the FA Cup. If we could have really taken Man City out as well, it would have been really gone a long way to maybe getting Tottenham a really good chance of getting a trophy this season. So that was ultimately very disappointing. The fact there was a bit of a damn squib. It was just a bit of a nothing game. Yeah. Man City shut up shop, really. Not shut up shop, but they controlled the game in every facet. They didn't allow Tottenham to build up at all. I thought their pressing was brilliant. When they had the ball, they kept it brilliantly as well. We couldn't get it back off them. And it was basically a game of trying to pick our moments to break forward. And we had one shot the whole game, which I think tells the story of how much we struggled yesterday. And I don't think it was a case of lack of trying or lack of willingness and giving everything. But I think Ange put it perfectly. We were giving everything, but we were giving everything to stay in the game. It wasn't giving everything to go up the other end it wasn't giving everything to be dominant and be on top of them. And we were thoroughly outplayed. I think it's fair to say. And even in that stage where we were outplayed and we deserved to lose, it was only 1-0 due to, a dodgy goal from a corner right in the last minute or 88th minute. So, look, we took them very close. So there is some credit to be had there. But you have to ultimately say, one shot the whole game. That's massively disappointing, wherever you look at it.
It is massively disappointing. And yeah, I completely agree. Man City just controlled every facet of the game. We could hardly get out. In that first half, I was watching it and I was thinking it sounded like we just have nothing here. We have absolutely nothing. We can't get out our own half. They suffocated us. Massive credit to Spurs, I thought, in the first half, the first 75 minutes of the game to not concede, because the amount of control that Man City had, we just dug deep. We were defending really well, defending in numbers as well. Mickey van de Ven was just insane throughout the whole game. How many amazing challenges he was putting in. He was really putting his body on the line time and time again. I thought he was the best player on the pitch by far for both teams, to be honest. And our passing was just completely off on the day. I thought Pedro Porro, I expected a lot more from him in terms of his creative nous. Kulusevski in the first half, I thought could have done a lot better on the ball. But I thought all these players, as much as I say how bad they were on the ball, I thought it was just a consequence of how good Man City were and how good their pressing was. And our work off the ball, I thought, was exceptional. I really did. I thought Kulusevski off the ball, Højbjerg off the ball, Porro, Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero, all of these players, I thought from a defensive standpoint, played really, really well. It's just that we couldn't get any creative moves and get ourselves up the pitch. That was the situation yesterday. So we missed Sonny desperately yesterday with that out ball. I thought, in terms of the way we were attacking Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side, he was getting the ball quite a number of times, but he just failed to take on his man around the outside. When he did get in good spaces, the ball into the box was pretty poor, aimed at no one, and there was no one making those runs inside the box either. So I thought, in terms of what we were missing yesterday, it was clear to see how much we missed Heung-min Son yesterday.
Yeah, because we didn't really have that threat in behind. Werner was pretty much anonymous for most of the game, apart from a couple of moments. One of them being in the second half where he actually did really well, got the ball into feet. I think he nutmegged, it was Walker, and then played a brilliant through ball to Johnson. That was the only shot of the game. And that was the only good piece of play from him pretty much throughout the whole game. The only other chance he had to get in behind was in the second half. It was late in the game. He actually got the run on Kyle Walker, but unfortunately Walker was quick enough to catch up with him, and there was no chance that came from it. And that's, I think, what massively missed, is that threat in behind Man City's defence. We had absolutely no way of getting through them. And the problem with that is, we were really struggling to get in behind, and then I felt like Werner and Johnson weren't showing for the ball as well.
I thought Werner was in the first half. I mean, Werner was in a number of acres of space a number of times, and we just failed to find him.
No, I'm saying that's running him behind. I'm saying he wasn't showing
right
in terms of coming short to it and like trying to collect it. If you're not going to find him in behind, which I agree with you, a number of times Werner must have been very frustrated because he was in a lot of good positions, and we just didn't see the pass, or we didn't pass it to him if we did see it. And maybe that's a consequence of, I know Kulusevski, playing in the number 10, but does he have that? I don't see him as like this long-range passer who has that vision. I see him as more as a ball carrier in the tight spaces. Is he the number 10 who's going to see a pass like far ahead and play the perfect through ball? I don't see him as that kind of creator. Bentancur, a very good player. We know that. Again, is he that creative kind of player? I know he's got good passing range. He can play a good switch of play. I don't see him as being this creator who has a picture of the whole pitch in his head. The one player I do see that is James Maddison, but obviously he was a bit anonymous when he came on, didn't really get to impact the game. And we need him or someone like a Lo Celso potentially as well. I think there's a bit of that in him as well. But we weren't able to play those passes in behind. And then if you're not going to play in behind, you need to be showing for the ball. You need to be beating your defender and allowing... I think Richie was the only one doing it. When we played the ball into him and he was being a nuisance, winning free kicks, getting us up the pitch. But Johnson and Werner, they were anonymous a lot of the time. I thought Johnson a lot was bullied in that second half by Gvardiol. He was being super aggressive up against him, and whenever that ball was played to Johnson, Gvardiol was stepping up ahead of him, and Johnson had no answer to it. And Werner on the other side. The thing is with Werner, when he did get the ball, he looked good, but it was just so few and far between. He very, very, very rarely touched the ball. So
I felt like Werner, you would have seen Werner a lot more if Maddison would have started the game, because if Werner kept making those runs, showing what he was showing yesterday, Maddison would have picked him out time and time again, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's that, and I think Werner probably feels that as well. So I think that was definitely frustrating. There were some good moments where there was also moments where I would say is, I think Man City's press was brilliant, and for long periods we did struggle to get out. But there were some isolated occasions we were able to put some combinations together, play some good football, and beat their press and get into the middle third. But then once we got into that middle third, we had no answer. So that was really frustrating. So in every facet, even when we did beat the press, we still weren't able to fashion a chance from it. So when you're doing that, you're just asking for trouble against a team like Man City. You've got to make those opportunities count, and we weren't able to do that.
Yeah, this is Man City's best display at our place for a very long time, in my opinion. The way that we just had no answer to what they could do. And I did feel like in the second half, there was a bit of a point where it seems as though the momentum was switching. And I remember saying to you, this is the most we've been on top all game. And then you said to me, yeah, right, on top, right?
Barely on top.
Yeah. But I did feel like at that point, the momentum was kind of starting to switch a little bit. But again, just the quality up front, the quality on the wings, it just wasn't there.
Yeah, that's the biggest, I think, letdown yesterday, because you need your wide players in those one-on-one situations to be a lot more dominant on the wings, and they got dominated, and I think that was the biggest issue. I think getting the ball to the wide players, they weren't good in those one-on-one situations. Walker and Gvardiol felt comfortable throughout the whole game, and that was really disappointing. I thought the midfield three also didn't have their best game, albeit I thought they were very combative, and we know they got quality, and I think there were times where they were actually going toe-to-toe with Man City's midfielders at certain times. Most of the game, they were definitely second best, but at certain times they were able to do it. But I felt like throughout the whole 90 minutes, Werner and Johnson just didn't get the better of their fullbacks for pretty much throughout the whole game.
Yeah, I felt like I expected more from Rodrigo Bentancur yesterday, to be honest. I felt like there were a couple of moments in there where he showed his silky facets of his game, but all in all, it was a fairly poor game, and I thought he got taken off, and probably rightly so. In terms of the other midfielders, Kulusevski, again, I thought defensively he did well. Won a lot of duels yesterday. He was winning a lot of fouls yesterday. But from an attacking point of view, he just didn't give the team what the team needed. He was the one that really should have taken the game by the scruff of the neck and providing those passes in behind to Timo Werner and stuff. It just didn't happen. When he moved over to the right-hand side the second half, I did think he got a lot better. He was asking for the ball a lot more and trying to make stuff happen. But again, he was just stifled a bit. And I felt like every time he got the ball, he had 2 or 3 men on him, and they were really trying to just crowd him out the game, particularly when he went onto the right-hand side. So I thought Kulusevski was trying so hard yesterday, but quality on the ball, unfortunately, just wasn't there. And Højbjerg was probably our best midfielder yesterday, particularly in the first half. Everyone was saying they didn't want Højbjerg to start, particularly me. I said that, and I wanted Steve Maddison there, but he was probably our best midfielder on the day.
I don't know, because I think obviously we end up losing, so it cost us anyway, but those two moments, I can't get it out of my head in that second half, what he did.
But up until that moment.
So ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree.
Inexplicable. One of them, he just takes a wild swing, like absolutely no composure, no thought, just like a brainless swing, which nearly, I think, fell to Bernardo Silva, which we luckily... Vicario saved. And the next one, he gets robbed inside his own penalty box he had so much time to clear the ball, and he just dawdles on it, gets robbed, falls to De Bruyne, and again we got very lucky not to concede in that situation. And I felt like he did tire in those last 20 minutes, and it was very poor. But yeah, probably for the first 70, he probably was our best midfielder. I don't think that's saying much, because I did think our midfield was poor overall. But there were times where we were going toe to toe with Man City's midfield, and he was being very combative. He was winning the ball and playing quick passes. But again, this is like Højbjerg playing well, but it's just not what we need. And there were so many occasions, I remember yesterday, where he had the opportunity to either drive into the space or just play a quick ball forward, and he turns back and he goes backwards, and he doesn't, or he plays an inaccurate pass, and it's just very, very frustrating. I think we need, obviously we all know, I think it's no secret that we're trying to get rid of Højbjerg, and we need to kind of move on from him. And there's no secret, I still think he's a good player, but it's just so obvious when he's on the pitch that we're stifled. Like, there's just a bit missing when he's in that midfield. It's not his fault, because that's just the player he is, but that is the reality as well of the situation, that there's always that half a second missing with Højbjerg, where he takes too long on the ball, or he doesn't, or even if it's a tiny bit, the pass a tiny bit inaccurate, could have been a bit further forward in front of the player instead of a bit further behind him, or a quicker decision to play it forward rather than going backwards. That is always going to be the case with Højbjerg. I don't think it was a bad game. I don't think he played particularly well, but I don't think he had a bad game for sure.
Do you not think like that those mistakes might have been a consequence of just him running himself into the ground in those first 70 minutes? Because I thought he was just running himself ragged, to be honest, the way he was running about, the way he was putting in that effort for the team. And I'm not Højbjerg's biggest fan, right? But I actually saw some value in him yesterday, not on the ball, but definitely off the ball. Yeah,
I agree with you. He did offer... He wasn't offering nothing to the team, but I was just very frustrated with how he nearly cost us a few times. That was just very frustrating. And I think the second half, to be honest, I don't think he had a particularly good game. I thought first half he was much better. Second half, I don't think he played particularly well. Bentancur, I agree with you, wasn't his best game. I thought on the ball was okay. Off the ball, did look a bit sluggish, I felt. There were times where he got caught out and then recovered well, but I don't know. It wasn't. It just, maybe him in the in yesterday's game wasn't the right decision. Maybe it had to put too much into it physically. Maybe he should have played in the number 6. I don't know. A lot for Aaron to think about in that situation. But yeah, Bentancur didn't have his best game. Was he rightly taken off? Probably on the balance of how they were playing, but I wouldn't have taken him off. I would have moved him to the 6, and I would have taken Højbjerg off. That's what I would have done. But look, maybe Ange saw Bentancur's tiring. He doesn't know if he's going to last the next 20 minutes.
They were all tiring, to be fair.
They were. And I thought the last 15 minutes, we were very much under the cosh. I actually thought for the first 60, 75 minutes, as much as we were definitely second best, we were actually keeping City at arm's length for the majority of it. We didn't let them get too close to our goal. They had one chance, I think, from Alvarez, which was a good block from Van de Ven. And obviously they had that chance in the first couple of minutes from Foden. But apart from those couple of moments, like Vicario wasn't called into action that much. They didn't really get too many opportunities.
And that's a credit to the defence, isn't it? That's a massive credit to the defence, because the amount of possession that they had, the amount of possession they had in our own half, and they just couldn't really muster up a real chance, time and time again, like you would expect with the amount of kind of pressure we were under for the majority of the game. And I think that's a massive, massive credit to the 3 players, that is Romero, Van de Ven and Udogie, because I thought all 3 of them defensively were absolutely on point. Udogie was putting his body on the line, Van de Ven putting his body, and so on was Romero. But look, let's focus on Van de Ven, because he was just so good yesterday. And That was a performance like we saw before that injury. You know, we saw that rust at Manchester United, but that was him back to his best, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. So great to have those recovery runs back. How many occasions yesterday did Man City get in behind? Do you think, oh God, we're in trouble here? And Van der Ven just pops
out of nowhere.
Yeah, you don't even see him. Literally, it's like he teleports into that position right where that Man City attacker is, and just clears the danger and either puts out for a throw, wins possession back comfortably. And it just reminded me, like, how many of those occasions that we had while he wasn't in the team, and it cost us. And probably then oppositions would get in on goal and would concede chances and goals from those moments. And yet, Van der Ven, just having him there prevents like 2 or 3 chances per game just with his sheer speed and sheer physicality. And I thought he was absolutely brilliant yesterday. And he made, I mentioned it before, a brilliant block from Alvarez, which was a really good chance, and he probably should have scored from it.
He had about 3 or 4 of them, didn't he?
In terms of like last-ditch blocks to save a goal, that's the only one I can remember. But in terms of like last-ditch like recoveries, which it looked like Man City were going to get a chance, and then he just comes over and prevents any chance from even happening. That happened about 3 or 4 times in the game. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. Literally didn't put a foot wrong. I didn't see too much of him on the ball. Wasn't able to display, you know, how calm and composed he can be, you know, getting forward and passing out the back and that kind of stuff. But I thought defensively was absolutely brilliant, and it's so great to have him back, and hopefully that'll give him the confidence for the rest of the season, that not that he needs it, that he's back to his best now, because he was a tad bit shaky against Man United, albeit it was still decent, but this was him back at it full confidence. And I think that little break after United game, that 2-week break one, probably did him some good.
Destiny Udogie, I thought like was really good defensively, but offensively I thought he was poor, to be honest. I think he did try and get himself up the pitch, but his quality and his passing was an issue for us yesterday, because I felt like he just either kept overplaying the pass or kept under-hitting the pass, and I expected a bit more from Udogie in an attacking phase yesterday. I mean, but I thought defensively he was spot on. Yeah,
I actually thought he dealt with Foden pretty well for a lot of that game. Obviously, Foden had that one shot, but apart from that, Foden was actually fairly quiet. Apart from a few moments, he was, you know, buzzing around the edge of the area and wasn't being picked up. That wasn't really Udogie's job at that point. I thought whenever he was on the right hand side, Udogie just outmuscled him, used his physicality, defended really, really well. I agree with that. I actually thought Udogie, by and large, had a decent game, but I also felt like the latter stage of the game, he struggled. Once he started to tire, he started making some poor decisions, I felt, and putting the team under pressure quite a few times. And especially as well, there was a couple of occasions he actually got into the final third and just needed to make a quick decision, either make the pass or maybe even have a shot or something. And he dawdled on it, didn't make a decision, and end up losing the ball and put us back under pressure again. So I agree with you. I think in the offensive phase of play, was a bit was found wanting, didn't make quick enough decision, wasn't decisive, I think is a good term for it. But defensively, yet again, he's so physical. Even when he's like not in the right position and things like that, his just sheer physicality bails him out.
He has this knack of just creeping himself in there and winning the ball back when it just looks like he has no right to win the ball.
He just muscles his way in, like nothing you can do. Once he gets close to you, that's it. You've lost it, because he's just so strong.
I love him as a player, but I thought he definitely should have done better in the attacking phase of the game. But look, we got to talk about the decision of that goal. Nathan Ake puts it in the back of the net. A lot of people saying it's a foul. I mean, I've seen it so many times now, and I just still haven't made up my mind, like, if it's a foul or not. You've seen them given before. I mean, you saw one similar, isn't it, in the Man City-Liverpool game?
Yeah, which I disagreed with. I didn't think that was a foul.
Exactly. Well, you disagreed with it at the time, and Alisson got fouled and the goal was given, or the goal wasn't given?
The goal wasn't given.
The goal wasn't given, and I thought that was very similar. The goal is given this time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to ask.
The thing is, on that occasion, the goal wasn't given on the pitch.
Right. There's got to be some sort of consistency in terms of the decisions. I mean, look, I don't have a problem with the goal being given, just because I think on the balance of play, Man City deserved to win, and I don't know. I don't think it's. I keep changing my mind on it, but I don't think it's a foul, to be honest.
Here's how I think. I think it's a soft. If it is a foul, it's a soft one, right? I think there's a good argument to say that it is a foul. But I don't think it would have been right for VAR to come in and intervene in that situation. I think it was right that VAR stuck with the on-field decision, because we're looking at it now. Even us, as you say, you looked at it 50 times and you can't make your mind up. So you have to stick with the on-field decision if that's the case. So I think that was correct. Now, should the referee on the field given a foul? I think 9 times out of 10, the referee gives a foul in that situation. So I think we probably got a bit unlucky. That's why Vicario was so incensed, because I thought he expected the whistle to be blown there. And just a bit similar to the Trafford one as well, not long ago. Diaz kind of backs into him. Doesn't really make too much of a challenge on him, but all he did was back into him. He does go for the ball, Diaz. He had his eyes on the ball. He jumps up. I don't know if he does too much wrong. The only thing that makes me think it probably was a foul was when he jumps, he has his elbow near Vicario, not his face, but like his shoulder area here. And if he's challenging him and he doesn't get the ball and his elbow's on him, most referees in that position give a foul. But I do think it would have been soft. It was one of those soft fouls, which I don't think anyone can really have too many complaints about, in my opinion. So I wouldn't say Vicario did much wrong either. He tried to get to it. He obviously got 2 hands on it, but he is being challenged. I guess unless you want to say goalkeepers cannot be challenged by players, then I think that's got to be allowable. Unless you change the rule to say goalkeepers can't be challenged.
Look, it's a difficult one to analyse, to be honest, but I think when there's so much conflicting opinion and literally half the people say it is a foul, half the people say it isn't a foul, then it's so contentious that I think you're right. You've got to just stick with the on-field decision. And if it's not clear cut, if it's not clear and obvious, then you can't change that decision, can you? So
no, but the question is, should the referee have blown up? That's the thing. Did the referee make a mistake or not?
I don't think he did. I don't think he did, to be honest. I really don't. So we got what we deserved in the end. That's just the facts, and we lost the game. I thought Vicario had such a quiet game. Apart from that, he did everything apart from that goal where he was a bit weak. I think he did everything to a really good level. He was making his saves.
His passing, I wouldn't say it was bad, but when he was put under pressure, it was a bit of a struggle to especially get those little clips out to the fullback and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't remember too many unbelievable saves he had to make. He
made 1 or 2 saves, like routine saves would you expect him to make. So everything he did was to a good standard, I thought. But look, we've lost 1-0. Spurs are out of the FA Cup, again, at the hands of Manchester City, which was a very anticlimactic night yesterday. It's just really, really hard one to take yesterday because we were just so confident going into it. But
sometimes
we move.
We're beaten by the better team. I think that was I don't think yesterday was a case of us not showing up and stuff like that. I think we tried. We put everything into it. We tried our best. Obviously, off the bench as well, we didn't mention it. Maddison obviously came on, but was a bit anonymous. But we didn't have too many options to change it as well, to give us that bit more energy. Like you saw how what it gave Man City to bring on De Bruyne and Doku. They kind of got a second wind from that moment, and it really added to their energy, and in that it meant they ended the game really strongly, whereas it was a bit different for us. But I think you just got to give credit to a team. You got to give them respect. They won the treble last year. They're back in. They're still in all the competitions apart from the League Cup this year. We know how good they are. I just expected us to give them more of a game, and I was just disappointed that we were that much second best. We only had 1 shot the whole game, but Man City, they can do that to you, and that's what happened yesterday.
Look at the 2 teams, right? Spurs are in a transitional phase this season. We're building. Man City are treble winners. They've got De Bruyne and Doku to bring on off the bench, and Jack Grealish. We've got Skip, Dane Scarlett, who's been on loan and didn't get a game at Ipswich first half of the season, and half-fit James Maddison.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you just got to put your hands up and say we were beaten by the better team, beaten by the better squad.
Maybe if we had Sarr, Basuma, Son all available, it could have been different.
Yeah, it could have been. And I did think massively we missed Sarr as well, to be fair, yesterday, as we probably do every time he's not on that football pitch. But it doesn't take away from the disappointment of going out of the cup, obviously, because we just went into it so confident, and probably Probably should have taken how much of a good team Man City are more into account. But look, it is what it is.
But I don't think it was wrong of us to expect us to really give it a good go. You know what I mean? I think it wasn't wrong of us to not expect the performance like yesterday. One shot was very uncharacteristic of Tottenham.
It is, and probably the first time that's happened all season.
Yeah,
but we are coming.
First time we haven't scored.
Yeah. But, you know, we know how important the likes of Heung-min Son are against Man City. It's the first time that we've played Man City for ages without Sonny. And you just saw what happened on the pitch.
Yeah, but we went to the Etihad, didn't we? And I know we had Son then, but we didn't have some defenders and stuff like that. And we gave them a lot better, more of a game than we did. Yeah, although you could probably argue we conceded better chances in that game.
In that game against Man City, we should have been out of sight in that first half. We should have been completely out of sight in the first half. And then if we were, and if Haaland puts away those chances, which he puts away 9 times out of 10, you're probably sitting here thinking this was the better performance.
But at least we were able to get on the ball a bit more in that game, you know, and hurt them, which we just weren't able to do at all in this game, which was a bit perplexing. I know Man City are very good, no doubt, and I know Man City, they can do that. They can stifle you, and I think Pep is adding that bow to their armoury, especially this season where they can just control a game and win it 1-0. But I'm just a bit surprised that we weren't able to even have a few moments where we really opened them up or really took it to them. And that was just the most disappointing thing. But I don't think it was for the lack of trying. That's all I'm going to say.
I would say, though, that the reaction from a lot of Spurs fans on social media is a bit over the top for this game. Like, let's be real. Yes, we didn't create too many chances, but neither did they. We lost 1-0 to the world champions, European champions, treble winners in the last minute to a very scrappy goal. That's what happened in the game yesterday. Yes, we weren't good enough. I completely agree. But the reaction, maybe it's just because of anger, another year of no trophy and everything like that. But when you actually read the game, yes, we got dominated for the majority of the game, but we lost 1-0 in the 88th minute to the world champions. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I think it's one you just got to take on the chin. It wasn't like we were battered.
Do you not think this reaction over social media is just completely over the top?
Yeah, I agree. I think anyone going overboard saying, got to question this one, that one, even some people questioning Ange, over the performance, I think it's way too over the top considering where we've come this season. Even in this specific game, it was only 1-0, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it was a trouncing. It was still very much in the balance up until the last stages.
We could have nicked that.
And even though we were second best, no doubt about it, we were second best in this game. You should be expected to be second best against Man City. You should expect to not be the better team because they are a better team than us. That's the reality of the situation. If you're expecting us to be better than Man City, then your expectations are way out of whack. However, what I would say is there not an argument to say, okay, I'm not expecting us to be better than Man City, but I expect us to, at home in an FA Cup game on a Friday night, have more than one shot on goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a fair argument.
No, absolutely. Look, I'm not saying it wasn't a disappointment yesterday. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that the reaction after losing 1-0 in the last minute against Man City, not everyone, but a lot of people saying, oh, it's a disgrace, questioning Ange and all this kind of stuff. Like, Ange has changed the face of this football club this season. Like, he's been the best thing to happen to this club in the last 5 years since sacking Pochettino. So, yeah, Ange maybe could have made a few changes a bit earlier in the game, but that's the only real criticism I have on him. And he made the changes probably 10, 15 minutes later than I probably would have, or probably the criticism I have for him. But I remember saying to you in the stadium, like, yeah, well, look, we need changes now.
No, fair, but it was 0-0.
Yeah.
When he did make the changes, were we better after the changes?
No, we weren't.
So it's not like there's any evidence that making the changes earlier would have massively.
No, but I get that, but that's the only slight criticism I have on Ange yesterday. Like, there's no other criticism I can put on him. Like, we tried to play our football. It's just Man City were a lot better than us on the day.
Yeah, and that's
and they can do that to anyone in world football.
Yeah.
Like, they can take on Real Madrid, Barcelona, whoever the best teams are in Europe right now and do that exact same thing to them on any given day. And that's how good Man City are.
That's the truth. I can't disagree with you. So it's a tough one. I really, really did have some hope that we can maybe spring a surprise and really have a really special night at the Lane yesterday. But it didn't happen. And I don't think anyone can expect us to have beaten Man City, especially where Man City are at the moment. But I guess it's disappointing just the manner of how it seemed to be we went out with a bit of a whimper, unfortunately. But that's Man City. They're so strong. They're so strong defensively. They're so strong on the ball. And I thought they brought their A game yesterday. If their Man City bring their A game, they're going to be near impossible to stop.
Yeah, they had one mission at the start of this season, and that is to score at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that's what they did yesterday, and they won the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the match review from yesterday.